Welcome back to another episode of Interesting Questions. Um, Thank you for joining us. Or joining me. Um, excuse me. This is basically my third episode of doing this. I'm new to all this, but um, I started Interesting Questions to kind of observe um, a lot of different subjects. That was the goal of doing this channel, was to kind of look at a lot of different things. Um, not one thing specifically, but just many different things. That was my goal. If you like, you know, this episode of the show, I would really appreciate smash that like button, subscribe, um, you know, and we'll go from there. So I'm doing the episode that I'm doing on is the Kailasa um, temple in India, because it really intrigues me. It's a very interesting subject to me, so I have a lot of interesting questions for specifically for this video. Um, when I first seen the temple, I seen it maybe even like a year ago. It might have been a year ago, but it was very intriguing because how the temple. Well, they don't know exactly how it was made. It could be a very ancient monolith. I think they say it's around whatever. It's a few hundred years old, up to like 800 years old. But when you really look at the intricacy of the temple, it's probably a lot older than that. That's my opinion. Um, but let's get to the video, and then I can iterate from there. So let's get to the video, and we're gonna take a look at this temple, and get an idea of from this ancient architects channel. Shout out to them, for making this video. It was very intriguing. So let's go from there.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. The enigmatic Kailasa temple at the Ellora caves in Maharashtra, India has fascinated
Kailasa temple. I said Kailasa, but it's actually Kailasa temple. But yeah, let's get to the video.
researchers for centuries. As the world's largest monolithic structure, it is without doubt one of the most breathtaking sights on the planet. It is often overlooked, or at least overshadowed, by sites such as the Giza Pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge of England, the Mexican Pyramid of the Sun, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, and so on. But this is certainly one of humanity's greatest architectural achievements. With Stonehenge, people dragged huge rocks and stood them upright. With the Kailasa temple, they removed hundreds of thousands of tons of rock and shaped the resulting structure to perfection. Mainstream scholars claim the ancient caves in this region date back to between the 5th and 10th centuries AD, but many believe they are far older, being not hundreds but thousands of years old.
Sorry for the ads. I gotta figure out how to link my premium account. So.
The fact is, nobody understands how this particular temple was built, as it clearly exhibits a far more advanced technology than what we are told the people of India had between the 5th and 10th centuries. It is cut out of solid basalt rock, leaving this incredible structure that totally boggles the mind. It is thought to symbolise Mount Kailash, the Himalayan abode of Lord Shiva, one of the most important Hindu deities, and it is just one of 34 cave systems that has been excavated from the surrounding bedrock in this region. This particular temple is thought to have been built during the reign of Krishna I, a ruler of the Rashtrakuta Empire in the 8th century AD, taking just 18 years to complete. It is estimated that a total of 200,000 to 500,000.
So I'm going to go back because I want to hear
of the Rashtrakuta Empire in the 8th century AD.
So in the 8th century AD is when they're actually saying that this was built. So we're looking at, over 1,200 years ago. So, like I say, the intricacy of this temple is is astonishing. I mean, and I'm looking at it through a video, so I can't even imagine if I was actually there seeing this place and how intricately it was built. So they're dating this about roughly about 1,200, a little over 1,200 years ago. So when they actually show the temple, you'll see how intricate the temple is. It's amazing. So we'll get back to the video.
Taking just 18 years to complete. It is estimated that a total of 200,000 to 500,000 tons of rock were excavated out of the vertical cliff, and another mystery is where the basalt went. It seems to have vanished without a trace, along with the tools used to build it. Based on the accepted history, if people worked a 12-hour day every single day for 20 years to build the temple, they would have had to dig out no less than 20,000 tons of stone a year, which equates to 1,666 tons a month, or 55 tons a day, or 4 to 5 tons every single hour. And then of course, it had to be taken away, and the remaining exposed rock had to be intricately carved to be a temple fit for a god. Many who have studied it believe it was excavated vertically, so that it...
That's a lot of rock. The concept of 55 tons of rock per day if they work 12 hours a day. So you look at daylight and you're getting, probably about, on average, half the day of daylight. So 55 tons and about, that's what they're estimating, about 12 hours a day. That's a lot of rock that you have to excavate. 55 tons of rock every day over this duration of time is astounding. So, and then plus the intricacy of how you're carving this temple out, and you're making statues and all this stuff directly out of bedrock. So that's crazy.
It was possible to achieve the end product. They state that the builders started at the top and worked downwards, carving out one of the most fascinating ancient temple complexes on Earth. And, as it was a bedrock excavation, there was zero room for error, and on inspection, no errors were made. This is sophistication to the highest order. But what did the builders use to create it? What tools were at their disposal? How did they manage to do it? And why has the knowledge been lost, if indeed the mainstream is correct in their dating? The mainstream attests that hammers, chisels and picks were the only tools that were used, but this isn't limestone or soft sandstone, it is crystalline volcanic igneous rock. According to a medieval legend told by the Marathi people of Maharashtra, the Kailasa temple was actually built within a week. It states that a queen whose husband was very ill prayed to Shiva, asking the god to heal her husband, and in return, the queen would build a temple and dedicate it to him, and fast until it was completed. The queen's prayers were answered, and she fulfilled her vows, and as the architect, known as Kailasa, was so concerned about the queen's fast, he said he could carve the structure within a week, and legend says he kept to his word. According to H.P. Blavatsky, many of the ancient temples in the region date back much further into history than what scholars believe today. And M.K. Davalika, a notable Indian historian and archaeologist, suggests that the Kailasa temple has been adapted and carved by different people over a long period of time. Like many ancient structures, he believes there are many phases of work that gives it its final appearance. One of the pieces of evidence that historians use to date it is an engraving on a perforated window in the west wall of one of the caves, in which we find an incomplete Sanskrit inscription of Brahmi script. It does give the genealogy of the Rashtrakuta dynasty, but all this proves was that the cave was there in the 8th century, not that it was created at that time. Many of the inscriptions in this
See, my opinion is, and this comes from like someone like Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock believes that there were very sophisticated, very advanced societies prior to what we were several thousand years ago, which when you look at something like this, and how intricate this is, it almost gives credence to it when you look at the pyramids. Some people say they're 3,500 years old, and some would argue that they're much older than that. They're 12,500 years old, and the reason why they say that is if you look at the pyramids at Giza, they are actually aligned. The way they're built literally looks like the belt of Orion, and they're saying that if you align star charts back to 12,500 years ago, and I don't know if this is a theory or they've actually been able to align the star charts. The way the pyramids are built, the size, and there's the alignment of the pyramids literally mimic the belt of Orion. And even like the way the stars, one is brighter, one is dimmer, and one is brighter, aligns with the belt of Orion. So people have theories that maybe the pyramids date back to an Atlantean, society, like when Atlantis was built, or whatever, which is also weird that I'm going into this, is that I remember, several years ago, this is, I want to say, I don't even know, maybe 12, 13 years ago, they did like this sonar reading below the ocean right around Cuba, and they found like pyramid temples underneath the ocean, but they looked more like Aztec, like step pyramid type temples. And shortly their excavation kind of got shut down, but shortly thereafter, President Obama, wanted to open up channels to the Cuban government. And I know that's kind of like a conspiracy theory, but I remember that it was odd that this sonar excavation around the ocean around Cuba, discovered these temples, and after they discovered these temples, they got shut down. Like their excavation got shut down, their sonar excavation got shut down after discovering these temples like deep underneath the ocean. And then shortly thereafter, though, I do remember the Obama presidency and the Obama government, the State Department, wanting to open up channels to Cuba to have dialogue with them, or to allow journalists or have these interactions where people could go to Cuba and start interacting in Cuba from the U.S., and that was like the first time since Kennedy that any of these kind of interactions happen. But, I'll get back to this video, because I kind of got off subject, but I was just saying about temples, that have been built, these structures, pyramids and stuff, because we kind of got on the pyramids right now, is that it's weird because all over China, there's pyramids all over China, and they're not being excavated. So it's like there is, like Graham Hancock says, we are a species with amnesia. There was probably some technologically advanced society prior to ours that may have existed 12,500 years ago. And they even said that, like, it was like a, excuse me, there was like a government document that came out. It was called like the Adam and Eve effect or something, literally talking about that there had been previous societies. But I don't want to get off subject on this video. Maybe, I'll make another video based on this Adam and Eve, government, like a thesis, I guess, that they kind of had, where they talked about previous societies. So, like I said, I don't want to get off subject in this video because it's about this temple. But so I'll get back to the temple right now, and we'll watch the rest of this video.
Region have been weathered badly, and there are no documented claims to its creation. Like the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which is not inscribed with the identity of the builder, the Kailasa temple offers the same problem for historians. Whatever the true history behind it, the resulting Kailasa temple is a masterpiece worthy as a tribute to the gods.
And I mean, look at the intricacy of those carvings that you're seeing in the video. That's amazing that you had bedrock, like a giant, huge rock, and you carved downward. Like, put this into perspective. You carved downward into rock, and you were able to make intricate statues and objects as you were carving downward into this rock to create this huge giant temple. It just, I mean, it blows my mind how they did this. It blows me away, like, really.
Most people have no clue that in 2023
Like I said,
the
sorry about
best
the
way to make money
advertisements.
on
I need
Amazon
to find
is
out how to
not
link
with
my,
physical.
As well as the accomplishment of creating the structure as a whole, many of the individual sculptures are breathtaking works of art in their own right. In the courtyard there is an image of Nandi, the sacred cow of Shiva, who is facing Shivalinga, traditional features that are found in all temples dedicated to Shiva. There are 100-foot tall pillars of basalt, and at the base of the structure we see exquisitely carved elephants, created to give the impression that the whole structure is being supported on the backs of these magnificent beasts. Furthermore, we also find scenes from two major Hindu epics, and in the southeastern gallery of the temple there are 10 panels depicting the different avatars of the Hindu god Vishnu. The temple also has bridges.
And like I'll say again, look at this scene in this, it's just that's carved out of one piece of stone. Like, how is that even possible? Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, we cannot recreate this today. It's like physically impossible. The amount of manpower, and I know, and guess what? I know people will say, Daniel, people didn't have TV. People had nothing better to do with their time. Okay, so were they more intricate? Like, I have trouble believing that people who are more concerned about survival, like finding food and surviving. If we look at the ancient world, we look at something just back at Rome, where you had beggars. People were begging for bread. People were like, and I mean, Rome, they built some amazing structures. They built the Colosseum. They built stuff like that, and we're looking back over 2,000 years ago. But the Colosseum is nothing in comparison to when you look at something like this and you look at the intricacies. For one, the Colosseum was built from the ground up. They're saying this temple was built out of one solid piece of rock from the top down. Like how that just blows my mind. I don't know. You know, like I say, you know, leave your comments down below, and what you think. I'm just saying is I just think there was a very technologically advanced society prior to what we know modernly from probably the past 3,000 years. They go, oh, well, there's carvings and there's markings in the pyramids. Yes, exactly. They could have been left behind by a more modern civilization. But the pyramids may be far older than, the consideration of these hieroglyphs or these markings. It's the same thing that this guy says about this temple. There's a marking from this, 800 AD era, and it's like that could have been added at a later time. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that the temple was built at that point. It could be far older because there may have been advanced civilizations way before us, So we'll get back to the video, but I'm just, I wanted to give my 2 cents on that because I find it hard to believe that people 1,200 years ago literally built this from the top down as opposed to the Colosseum that was built 2,000 years ago from the ground up, which makes sense. You lay brick and mortar, you build upwards. That makes sense. To carve something from the top down out of solid, bath stone or what he's saying is just like that. That's just unbelievable to me. It's just, it would take a very advanced society, in my opinion, to do something like this.
A rainwater harvesting system, an intricate drainage system, hidden underground passages, secret peepholes that can be used to hide and then spy on people, balconies, as well as huge staircases which branch off into multiple levels of the structure. And remember, it is carved from the bedrock, with no stone blocks added. All of this had to be planned carefully before work even began, and there are no clear errors. It is truly a work of perfection. There is another legend that dates back to the Mughal period which mentions the structure and states that during the reign of Emperor Aurangzeb an attempt was made to destroy the temple. Apparently 1,000 workers were sent to dismantle it, and after 3 years it suffered just minimal damage in the form of a few broken or disfigured statues. On realizing it was impossible to destroy the temple, apparently the emperor gave up. We know that the Kailasa temple is just one of a number of carved ancient caves and temples in this region, but it is also worth noting that nearby there are also many carved ruins which are submerged beneath the waves, and these may date back to the last ice age, when sea level was 100 meters lower. These ruins are detailed in Graham Hancock's fantastic book Underworld.
See, I'm glad he's quoting Graham Hancock because I remember hearing a long time ago Graham Hancock saying we are a species with amnesia. I remember him saying that, and the amnesia that we have is we don't possibly remember our advanced technologically societies that we've had. Pyramids are all over the earth, and we have no explanation for them. They are here in the United States. We have the pyramids of Ohio. We have pyramids in Mexico. We have pyramids in Japan, China, in the Middle East. They're all in Turkey. They even say one of the world's largest pyramids is considered to be in Turkey. So why are these pyramids all over the planet? You know, they even say obelisks are all over the planet. Because there may have been there may once have been a very advanced society on Earth that, you know, was decimated. It may have been wiped out by, you know, depolarization or some type of change in the Earth. And maybe these people, it's like the you know, the story of Noah. There was a great flood that wiped out, and it's not just Christianity that talks about this. There are other, you know, other societies and other cultures that discuss a great flood happening on the planet. It's not just biblical, it's in other societies. They talk of a great flood. So maybe something did happen to the earth. And maybe, like an example, like they say in Ancient Aliens. Oh, well, you know, Noah's Ark was, they went and collected all the DNA from all the males and females and all of these, you know, animals on the planet. And they harvest all that and they put it on a ship. And it's almost like, let's say, a rapture. A rapture. We're going to rapture all the DNA, and then we're going to take all the people that we think are qualified to leave here. It's like a biblical rapture. Possibly that it could be something like that. Like, where did these things come from, though? Like, how are they handed down? Where did they come from? So to me, that's a very interesting question, you know, and that's what the show's about, you know. So if you like this video, you enjoy it, like I said, subscribe, smash the like button, you know, do us a favor, help us out, you know, and I will keep making videos like this to ask the interesting questions, you know, that everybody wants to hear. So let's get back to the video.
Earlier, I mentioned the temple's connection to Mount Kailash, the supposed Himalayan home of Lord Shiva. The mountain is apparently unascendable, and no human has ever scaled this sacred site, and therefore, as you can imagine, many legends surround it. A number of researchers, scholars and scientists believe that the top part of the mountain is in actual fact the remnants of a truly ancient pyramid. Mohan Bhatt, a Sanskrit scholar based in Mumbai, says the Ramayana refers to the sacred mountain as a pyramid. Some ancient texts refer to it as the cosmic axis, or the stairway to heaven. Some say that Lord Shiva himself is buried inside it, and that the area is the true city of the gods. Russian scientist Ernst Maldushev went on an expedition with geologists, historians and physicists to learn more about the secrets of Mount Kailash. The team came to the conclusion that it is a massive ancient man-made pyramid, surrounded by many smaller pyramids. Maldushev believes it was built by an ancient and advanced people who knew about things such as the law of subtle energy. He says that the mountain is the most important part of a system of ancient monumental structures, directly connecting sites such as the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Some researchers believe that the same long-forgotten ancient people that built the pyramid of Mount Kailash also built the Kailasa temple, and that their relationship in name is not coincidental. Whatever the true history of the Kailasa temple, there is certainly something wrong with the archaeological interpretation of this site. Either our understanding of the technology of the 8th century is completely wrong, or the time frame attributed to the Kailasa temple is wrong by hundreds if not thousands of years.
And listen to what he's just said right there. Excuse me. They're saying, you know, it's 800 AD, and I mean, like he's saying, either our interpretation of how people were living in India in 800 AD, we just have a misinterpretation of it, or the site was probably there long before what they're saying, is, like Graham Hancock says, we are a species with amnesia. We have monoliths and structures and pyramids and all these things. They're all over this planet, and that's why I brought this video to you guys, because I'm saying is we have to question us being a species with amnesia. We should question it. It should be questioned, because why do these monoliths exist? We can't even reproduce them today. We cannot build the pyramids today out of limestone. We can build a pyramid in Las Vegas made out of steel and granite and glass and wood and all nuts and bolts. We can reproduce that because that's how our society was built. We're built on nuts and bolts. We're built on wood and screws and what do they call it? Like the chalkboard, or I can't think of the word right now. But we're built on nuts and bolts. We're not built on the granite and the soapstone and all this type of stuff. We can't reproduce it today. So how were they doing it back then? We can't even explain how they were doing it back then. All we can do is theorize. Oh well, this temple was built in 800 A.D. because there was some marking that was on the temple that led us to believe that. That doesn't mean that it was built at that time. It's the same thing with the pyramids. We have tombs that correspond with the pyramids that have certain hieroglyphs, because these structures may have been built after the pyramids. People built them around them after they say the biblical flood or whatever wiped out a very large percentage of the population, and as people reprocreated, societies grew, they may have built themselves out around the structures that already existed. So I'm going to close out the video, and then I'm going to give my final opinion.
However it was done, it is undoubtedly a tribute to ancient Indian craftsmanship and aesthetics on an exceptionally grand and breathtaking scale. Apparently there are thousands and thousands of ancient Sanskrit texts still waiting to be translated, so maybe the secret of the Kailasa temple is waiting for us to find.
So, ancient architects, check them out. This is where I got the video from. Check them out. Go check out their page, and I'm sure they have a lot of other videos on, ancient archaeology. But so I'm just gonna just kind of just give my final opinion on this is, and as I've actually been going through in the video, I do believe that there were advanced ancient societies that existed thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. I think there's a lot of things that point to it. I think, but there's arrogance in archaeology, where people, maybe around 100 years ago had their theories. They don't want to give their theories up. So instead of just saying, hey, you know what, I was wrong about what I theorized 40 years ago, I'm kind of leaning more towards this. It is arrogance. It's arrogance from people, from academics who are very intelligent people, and they don't want to admit they're wrong. So they just say, no, I'm not wrong. I still believe that. So you got to think outside the box. And someone like Graham Hancock, he thinks outside the box. That's what he does. And I'm not saying that he's 100% accurate or he's correct in what he's asserting. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is you have to think outside the box. When you think outside the box, problems get solved. Because when you only stick to one ideology or one narrative, you're not you will never accomplish anything. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like Bruce Lee said, you must be fluid, you must be like water. You cannot stick to one style of fighting, right? Because you have to adapt to what your opponent is capable of doing, right? So it's the same thing, I think, looking at archaeology is the same aspect of thinking outside the box. What are the potentials? So, people, a very easy way to dismiss all this is go, well, aliens built it. That's a very easy way to dismiss it. And I'm not saying that that's not possible either. I'm not saying that that's not possible. Maybe there was an ancient alien society that used to live on Earth that created these monoliths. They figured out propulsion. They figured out how to leave the planet and travel through the universe, and maybe they left Earth. Maybe it's our ancestors. Maybe they left Earth. I don't know. That's an interesting question, right? But I'm gonna end the video on that. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button, as I always say. Smash that like button. But I appreciate the views. I appreciate the support. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video, continue watching. If you want to continue seeing these videos, like and subscribe. But thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And peace out.